What is going on, Luminites? In this video, I will be going over how to prolong your ASIC miner. Now, this is very important stuff if you are considering getting into Bitcoin mining because not a lot of people talk about it. So let's get into it. Now, obviously, ASIC miners are super expensive devices, so you want to take good care of them to avoid spending money on replacements. So let's get into the ASIC miners and explain how you can extend that durability. Okay, so if you don't know, ASIC basically stands for Application Specific Integrated Circuit, which means that they're super effective and powerful at mining one specific crypto algorithm, right? So each coin has a different algorithm for its mining process. ASICs are super good at one algorithm, usually for Bitcoin. Now, mining is intensive and competitive. So because of that, the machines are pushed to the maximum. So you have to optimize them to be at their peak performance. Now, the average lifespan of a well-kept, maintained machine is about 3 to 5 years. And if you keep these ASICs in harsh or poor conditions, that can actually decrease their lifespan, and it could be as low as a few months. On the other hand, if you take really good care of them and consider their environment, then you can prolong their lifespan for 5 years or more. Now, the most common causes for ASIC damage and deterioration could be from little to no airflow. So if you keep these machines in heat or in non-ventilated areas where the air isn't moving or it's actually being overheated, then that could decrease the lifespan of these ASIC machines. Now, some other factors to consider would be the humidity and dampness or moisture in the environment. So just like any other electronic device, these ASICs have internal components that could be damaged by humidity, and that can cause rust or corrosion. Now, the next thing is obviously extreme temperatures. If it's really hot, it can shorten the lifespan and chip away at the internal components. And also, same thing if it's super cold. The ASICs can release heat that can counterbalance it. So the cold actually isn't as much of a big deal because these ASICs, they produce heat from all the energy that it's outputting. But if it goes from, under zero temperatures to very warm temperatures too fast, then that could cause some damage internally as well. So just make sure you're not switching from cold to super hot to warm to super cold in quick swings, because that could damage the components as well. And then exposing your mining hardware to these conditions will eventually, over time, lead them to be underperforming and suffering progressive damage over time. And it could cause the internal components to break down and burn out. Now, here are some best practices so that you can keep your mining hardware in tip-top shape to protect it from those conditions. Now, number one is obviously choose a suitable location. You want to make sure that it's dry with good, constant airflow. Any wide and open spaces should be the first choice if you have access to that. If you don't have access to that, then you might want to consider installing additional fans to keep the air moving. You want to keep the room dry and avoid condensation. All right, so for mitigating the heat, as we all know, the heat is going to be the most common cause for ASIC damage and deterioration over time. So there's a lot of ways you can mitigate this. Some facilities have specialized cooling systems to reduce the temperature. So there's fans and AC units to keep the temperature nice and regulated. Other miners come up with innovative ways to repurpose the heat from these ASIC machines, like using heating pools or hot tubs or dehydrating fruit, or redirecting it to greenhouses for growing crops. So you can actually recycle that hot energy that's used and use it for other purposes. Recycling the miner's heat will not only reduce the damage from the high temperatures in the room for these miners, but it'll probably increase profitability because you're reducing the cost and adding it into other resources and into another source of income. However, remember that the primary priority is to treat the excess heat and preserve your miners. So just avoid the heat as much as possible. And if you can recycle it, then that's awesome. And try to repurpose it if you can. There's also the factor of regular maintenance and cleaning. So the most common causes for ASIC damage and deterioration are also just from dust that's been accumulated from prolonged periods of time sitting in the same place. This is more relevant if you have, thousands of ASICs. You do need to make sure that they're being well kept and away from dust and keep their performance high and peaked up, tip-top shape. Now for this, you can use an air compressor gun just to get rid of all the dust and clean out the internals. And just remember that ASICs are very delicate, so be very careful when you're cleaning them and look for any manufacturer instructions if you can, and if it's part of the cleaning instructions. If you don't have an air gun, then you could always disassemble the miner and brush the fans manually, but just be super careful if you do that. And taking care of your equipment. ASIC miners are expensive. As we all know, the price is super, super expensive for any replacement parts. And it's important to recover your costs as a miner. So you do want to keep these machines in the best shape that you can so that you can use them for the long term. And remember that it's crucial to have the best conditions for your miners as well. So keeping them in a well-ventilated, wide open area, with the best ventilation that you can afford. And remember to keep them in a nice controlled temperature as well, with no humidity, and to keep cleaning them regularly. Now, with these simple practices, you will be able to enjoy your ASICs and hopefully keep them in the best shape and prolong their lifespan for the maximum performance for several years. So if you found this video helpful, thank you guys for watching. Leave us a thumbs up. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Hello Lumerin, and our website is lumerin.io. And if you want to join our Discord to keep up with our project, the link will be below for that as well. Otherwise, guys, thanks for watching and have a great day.